If you are a business owner who is stuck in overthinking, waiting for the right time, or second guessing every move, your business and your bank account and your social media will stay stuck too. The fact is, the ones who break through, they make power decisions fast about their brand, their messaging, and their offers. They stop hesitating and start executing. Now, before we hop into today's interview and our very special guest, if you're ready to ditch indecision and start using social media to generate real revenue, you and I need to talk. Right now, I'm offering a free social media strategy session, but only for those individuals who qualify. Apply now by going to lindsaya.com/apply. Now let's dive into this decision-making episode with Mr. Rugare Gomo.
Are you ready for next level growth in your business? Welcome to the Lindsay Anderson Show, where we pull back the curtain on the exact strategies, tools, and mindsets that build million-dollar empires. If you're hungry for more time, more freedom, and a whole lot more impact, you've come to the right place. Buckle up, because we're about to ignite your business journey. Now, here's Lindsay.
Today's guest is proof that your decisions shape your destiny. Rugare Gomo moved from Zimbabwe to Australia alone at 16, built a legal career from scratch, and ultimately transformed his life by mastering the art of making powerful decisions. Now he teaches high performers how to eliminate doubt, take bold action, and unlock their full potential. Rugare, welcome to the show.
Lindsay, it's such an honor. I'm thrilled. It's very early in Sydney, Australia here. So it's wonderful to be across the world, to be here having this conversation.
What time is it there, Rugare?
It's 6:30 a.m.
Okay. Oh, I mean, it's lunchtime for me. I'm an early riser, so enjoy that lunch. Now, before we dive into making powerful decisions, because I think this is going to be a really important chat that we have, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how decision making became such a key part of your success?
Absolutely. So a little bit of my backstory. I grew up in Zimbabwe and now I live in Australia. But the person you're talking to today wasn't the person who arrived in Australia. I was quiet. How to talk like this? I was uncomfortable in my own skin. I grew up in a context that as a black man, I'm always going to have to work 10 times harder than my white counterparts. And I'm a gay man. And in Zimbabwe, you go to jail for being gay. So I had low
Wow.
self-esteem. And I didn't know it. I thought I was just a shy, quiet person. That is what happens when the world tells us who we can and can't be. We become a fixed way of being, and we think that's who we are. In my journey of coming to Australia, dreaming something bigger than my identity, I've been on this journey to discover who I can and could be.
I love that. I love that. So, how does that flow into you deciding who you want to be and not letting the outside world determine that for you? How does that play a role in making big decisions in your life?
Absolutely. So, of course, when you have low self-esteem, it's very hard to actually make big decisions because what we think about ourselves is what we will accomplish. The first thing to know is that as human beings, we live in a context. This is the step one. We live in a context that we're born into. And that context tells us who we need to be. Good girls don't cry. Good girls cross their legs. Boys play sports. We're already being told who to be the moment we are born. So we call that the world of morality. And why do we call it the world of morality? Because it's not universal. In Zimbabwe, you go to jail for being gay. In Australia, I'm married to my husband and I've got a family life. The context in which you're born into will determine how we show up. So that's the first thing, in essence. Now, if we don't know that, we just think that this is who I am and this is what I need to do, the rules. So for me, to get over the rules, it starts with a dream. Always. Always starts with a dream bigger than my identity.
Okay.
So coming to Australia was impossible for me as I came from a very low middle class family. It would have taken 10 years to save to come to Australia. So coming to Australia was impossible, literally. So we didn't have the resources, number one. I didn't even have the confidence, number two. But I had a dream, something bigger than who I knew myself to be. Without something greater than our identity, we can't break through this fixed way of being because our identity will fulfill what our identity says we can fulfill.
Okay. Okay. Can you share with me a little bit why people struggle with decision making, especially in business?
Yes. So people struggle with decision making in business, and of course, it's in all areas of life because of what we are told we can do or can't do, or also the story we tell ourselves of things that are happening. So, for example, I've come from a context, as I said, that as a black man, I'm going to have to work 10 times harder than a white man. So imagine then I'm a business leader. Now I'm so excited. I started my business. The whole world is celebrating, etc. But I've got this core belief that I have to work 10 times harder than
Mm-hmm.
everybody else. So
Mm-hmm.
here I am trying to scale a multi-million dollar business to a multi-billion dollar business. But if I'm trying to work 10 times harder than everybody else everywhere, that will lead to stress, burnout, not spending time with my family, divorce, drugs, or addiction or addictive behavior, in essence. So the thing that holds all of us back is firstly our core belief. Hence why I always start with the context we're born into. The context we're born into is where our core belief system starts. But if we don't know that and we think that what we believe is the truth rather than what we believe is a story, we're stuck in that story for the rest of our lives.
Okay, so I run into this a lot with business owners that I consult with, and they're always afraid of making the wrong decision. And so then they just kind of stay stuck. How does this apply to that line of thinking?
Great, which then comes to the second step. So once we understand that our belief system is not the truth, but just a story, something more possible can arise. The real work is first understanding that what we believe is not the truth. It's a story. What we think our core belief is our identity, but it's not, it's a story. So something more possible arises. Then I do the work of then being distinct about what my vision and my values are. Distinct. So a lot of organizations, corporate, small organizations, like they'll say, my vision is that we do the best customer service care, or I believe in integrity. But for most organizations, it's a document to seem to be doing good. Hear that? I need to look good, core beliefs. I had to show up as looking good rather than being good. So for me, my vision, which is to inspire and empower all people to dream, forge their own path, and be the leader of their lives, is not something that's just in a document. It's who I become. This podcast is me living that vision. It's distinct. And then I've got my values, integrity. I honor my word, so that's distinct. So that's not a document. So I'll wake up every day looking at where haven't I honored my words and what am I going to do about it? That's 90% of my life. That's one of my values. Wonder. We gasp in awe. When you look at my website, people gasp. Oh, I share my entire story there. It's a gift to the world, in essence. So my values are not just a concept. They're something that I live and breathe every day. And I become that. And I want to be very clear. I'm not talking about perfectionism here. I'm talking about doing our best to live our values day in. I'm engaged in them. So they've got to be distinct. Now, this is the surprising thing, Lindsay, when you start living your vision and your values on a daily basis. You get to love yourself.
Is
Get
that
to
step three?
love your story. That's just what shows up.
Okay, that's just the that's the
That's
outcome.
literally what shows up. When you start living your vision and your values, you love yourself. Because to live your values is one of the bravest things you can do in the world. Because let's just say we live in a world where we're looking for the shortcuts. I want to get ahead in business. What's the shortcut? But if my value is integrity, there's no shortcut. I've got to do the real work to be integrous. There is no shortcut to integrity. You're either being integrous or not. Simple. So when you ask, this is the question you asked. So how then do I make the decisions? How do I make the right decision? It's easy. It's always easy. Live your values. So you've got to be distinct. All decisions are based on your values. That's the engagement that is required.
So you have to do a bunch of work before you go into making decisions. Like, you got
Yeah.
to remember this. What I'm believing is just a story about me, and I have to determine my values. I need to set some time away and do this for myself. And then when I get into a decision making situation, it becomes so much easier because I already know what those values are.
Yes.
Is that
It's
right?
the rules. It's actually what I call, those are the rules of business. It's like playing the football. When you play the football, aren't there rules? We know what the time, how long the game goes for. We know where each person's positions are. We know when we've done the red cards, but I'm not sure what it is in America, but we know the rules. The rules for extraordinary decision making is being absolutely crystal clear on the vision and values. Now, to be a professional footballer, isn't that work? Is a lot of practice that happens before getting over on the field. There's the work of what are the rules? What can I do? Can't I do? And then it's game time. Now, not only do they do that with themselves, they're doing it with an entire team. So if you don't know it for yourself, how in the F will the entire team even know it for themselves?
Yeah. I had a client recently say to me, Lindsay, I've never had leads come to me like this before. That's the difference between posting randomly and using a real strategy. At the BAM agency, we turn content into conversations and those conversations into clients. If you want a social media system that actually works, apply for a free social media strategy session call by heading over to lindsaya.com/apply. Okay, so if I'm stuck in this overthinking, I can't make decisions, what is the first step someone needs to take?
Pause. That's the first step. Pause.
Always pause.
Always pause. So when I don't know what to do, I'll tell everybody I need to pause. Simple. And most people can't because that's a sign of weakness. I can't be that vulnerable. So to live this kind of life requires the humility to always say, I don't know, I need a break to think. Now, our brain it's not designed to make powerful decisions easily. Our brain is designed to protect us at all costs. You touch a hot stove, we remove our hand. You'll hear people say, I can't do motivational speaking because I'm shy. But I don't know anybody who's at threat of death from talking. Yes, you may be embarrassed, but nobody's going to die. So the first step is to pause because literally in moments, our brain is working against us living our vision and our values. We need to get connected to what really matters first. So that's the first thing. The second thing I do, so I've got more practice in this because I'm a practitioner of living my vision and my values on a daily basis. And you heard the word I use, practitioner. So for a business person, we've got to be practitioners in this. It's part of our job. So I'll spend time journaling. Those who journal produce the most ridiculous results out there in the world. Oprah Winfrey, she's talked about her journaling. She's got boxes and boxes of journals.
Why is that? Why is journaling so powerful?
It's a connection to reveal the truth of what's actually going on in the heart. Because we may say I'm scared, but then I'll write what I'm scared of.
Right.
I should tell the truth regarding what is the core belief I'm stuck in. I'm scared of using my voice because then I'll look like an idiot and I need to always come off strong. So I'm going to be invisible. You have to tell the truth. That's why journaling will bring that out. Bring with that paper. I've seen grown men cry when they spend time with a journal because for the first time they reveal what's going on inside them. Pause.
Can you share a client story, one that somebody was struggling with the same things that you struggled with, what we talk about today, not being able to make decisions, and how you taught them and what the outcomes were?
Yes, absolutely. I can share this publicly. My engineering client, CDSE, amazing organization. They exist for creating extraordinary communities. When I met the founder, David, he didn't have a business. He started from zero. In fact, he started with a lot of debt, and he could not even afford my coaching services at that period of time. So I said to him, let's create a game plan for this. So it was an identity bigger than him, isn't it? The dream to create his own business, but he didn't have the material resources for that.
Okay.
So that's the problem. But what's he going to do now if he's got this dream but doesn't have the material resources? So I said to him, let's make a list of 10 people in your community that could support you. He made the list, and I said to him, now, how much money do you need? He wrote the number down. Can you go and ask them? And no. What showed up? I'm a used car salesperson. To ask for help brought up this core belief that the story he had about himself, but at that time, it's not a story, it's a fact, isn't it? So can you see, at that point in time, it's a fact. If I ask people for money, I don't want to show up as a used car salesperson. That was what was holding him back in every aspect in life, because that system shows up in all areas of life. So once he was able to see that story and see it as a story, something more possible showed up. And he got to see he's allowed, he could be gifted the gift of being contributed to. You can see the shift right there.
Big shift. Yeah,
Big
yeah.
shift.
Yeah, we see that a lot. People afraid of sales and this used car salesman. But one of my biggest shifts is sales as a service. You are helping people, and you withholding that is like you're preventing you from helping people. So I love this.
It's beautiful. It's a game changer.
It is a game
Really.
changer because
It's
everything
an
is
absolute
just
game
the
changer.
story you put on it, period. End of sentence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. And as human beings, we're always looking for power. If people are always looking for power, the true power is if you own your own stories, your own
Amen.
belief system. And that's the only thing we have power over, really, owning it. Because anything can be taken away. We've seen that through COVID. I grew up in Zimbabwe. There's poverty. I've gone through the AIDS epidemic. I've gone through the cholera. The things that are out of my control. But here I am. What I can control is who I say I am. And that's for every business person. You've got control of that. And just to add, Lindsay, remember I was saying how the starting point for me these days is journaling? But for us business people, you've got to get a coach. You've got to get a coach, somebody you trust or build trust. Most business people don't trust coaches, but somebody you can build
That's
trust with.
and I couldn't agree more. It's really hard to see your own story. So you do need, and I prefer to pay someone because they're going to be
Yes.
honest with me and not just ask my
Oh,
husband because he wants
no.
me to make dinner tonight. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It can be your husband, wife, partner, close friend, somebody who's going to tell the truth, somebody you're not invested in your emotional
That's
stuff
right.
with,
That's right.
It's a game changer. It will lead to high performance in all areas of your life, particularly your business.
I love it. I love it. All right. My final question, AI. AI is reshaping how we work and live. How do you see technology playing a role in making better decisions and really coming out of your own stories?
AI can absolutely assist in making better decisions, particularly if you've got ownership of yourself. What I can see is that people can use AI to avoid the stories and the core beliefs about themselves. So, which doesn't lead to necessarily empowerment. So, I use AI. I wrote a book. I recently wrote a book, and it's called Dreams Forging My Own Path. I wrote every word myself. And I wrote it myself. It's my self-expression. So people these days will be trying to use AI to get ahead, to have like, look, I'm an author. For me, though, I've written that book, and how I feel inside, I love myself because I never thought I could write anything like that to begin with. So a lot of the time, we have to be very clear what our purpose is of the usefulness of AI. It's so powerful. It's so useful, but let's not let AI be a scapegoat to hide or escape our humanity. That's my view.
I love that. Thank you so much, Rugare. What a pleasure it was to interview you today. I'm going to turn the time over to you. Let everybody know how to find you and anything else you want the audience to know.
Absolutely. You can find me on my website, www.rugaregomo.com. I live in Sydney, Australia. I'm global. I'm on LinkedIn a lot. Please reach out. I love forming relationships. LinkedIn is an amazing place for forming relationships all around the world. So you can find me there. The last thing I want to say is thank you, Lindsay, for using your life and your voice and your power this way. In the world, and I've done a lot of research, there are very few people, very few women out there being podcast hosts. So we need the different voices because every person is unique and has their own backstory. And so I'm so grateful to have your expression out there in the world and bringing out mine. So thank you.
My pleasure. It's been a pleasure talking to you today. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks, Lindsay.
There you have it, folks. Another awesome episode of The Lindsay Anderson Show. If you've been hesitating, second guessing, or waiting for the perfect moment, this is your sign to move. Success isn't about knowing everything. It's about deciding and executing on who you want to be and what stories you're telling yourself in your head. If you enjoyed this episode of The Lindsay Anderson Show, please subscribe and leave a review. It helps more people discover the show. And if you're serious about leveraging social media to generate real revenue for your business, make sure you apply for a free strategy session now by going to lindsayaA.com/apply. Thank you so much for tuning into The Lindsay Anderson Show. Cheers to you and your success.
That's a wrap for today's episode of The Lindsay Anderson Show. If you loved this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share how you're leveling up your business. Want more? Connect with Lindsay Anderson and get the tools you need to crush your goals at lindsayaA.com. Until next time, keep pushing, keep growing, and turn those business dreams into reality.
Thank you for tuning in. If you got value from this episode, share it with a friend and hit subscribe. And if you're ready to stop posting and praying and actually generate revenue, let's talk. Book your free strategy session by going to lindsayaA.com/apply.